Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast with Matt and Amy. Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois. Welcome to episode number 72 for December 18th, 2023. Merry Christmas.
Well, hello there, children. Ho, 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 and welcome back to the freak show that is the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I'm great. And I just realized, I'm like, ooh, we do our podcast. We release our podcast out on Mondays, Tuesdays. Well, let's face it.
Whenever we get to it. That's our podcast.
But pretty much,
timing.
This is the podcast before the holiday, before Christmas.
We're not doing one on Christmas Eve. No.
We're not?
No.
Are you kidding?
Seriously.
Seriously,
Clark.
I would do it. I just want you all to know that
You would do it?
Matt wouldn't do it.
No.
But I would for you.
But if you're watching on the YouTube, welcome to our cozy fireside chat.
We got a little fire. And really, if you are watching this, pretty soon, it's just going to be, we're going to be doing a weather forecast up here. It's a little toastier by the fireplace here. If you need a little less warmth, then just go out here by these candles.
Yeah, there's a lot of fire.
There's a lot of fire.
And if you look at how many logs are on that fire, that's a lot of fire. And I don't know why some of the logs are like transparent. You can actually see through them. So I don't know.
We were just having some fun.
We were
having some fun.
And I was just doing what Amy tells me. But Amy, welcome back. Don't forget you all to you already subscribe, Amy. But the rest of you, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Share this with a friend.
Yeah. And even if you are right now listening, go out to YouTube and and subscribe to it out there. That will also help us build that channel up as well.
Yes, we just had a comment out there last week.
Yeah, go out to Spotify and Apple.
Or
give us a Christmas present.
I think Apple's where the most listeners sit, but whatever your pod feeder of choice is.
Yeah, give us a positive review. That's how people will find out about us.
That's true.
Right?
And while you're out there, stop on over to jointheirside.com where you can download our Beyond Spirits 7 tips to get you started on that alcohol-free journey that we used, I assume, right?
We did.
I thought that's where those 7 came from.
These really are the tips that you and I did use.
And not that we have a real sponsor, but Amy, this episode is brought to you by the Alcohol-Free Spirit starting January 7th.
I cannot wait.
How do I sign up for that, Amy?
Well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go to thealcoholfreespirit.com.
Oh, she did it.
I did it correctly. So you're going to go to thealcoholfreespirit.com. You can sign up. If you sign up before January 1st, you get $100 off. Excited about it. Mm-hmm. Also, if you would like to maybe get a little, I don't know, tap your toe into the water tomorrow night or tonight or whenever you're listening to this, if it's December 18th.
Whenever your toe taps that water.
December 18th, Coach Suzanne and I are going to have a Zoom call at 7 p.m. Central Time, and this is for women. We want you to just stop in, and it's for our past group members and anybody who might have an interest in seeing what it would be like to work with us. But it will just be an evening where we're going to offer you encouragement, some tips about the next couple of weeks, because the next couple of weeks is going to get crazy.
It'll get messy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know I am biased, but you do get a lot of good feedback and a lot of return participants in that program, so I think it goes over very well to those who do participate.
This will be the second year for this program.
And dry January, I mean, that's a thing. Everybody does it. So
well, and the other thing I like to tell people, we start this on January 7th, and it's a 6-week program. The first week, we even tell people, you don't have to quit drinking that first week. That's what we call our pause week.
It is an option, but
yes, but we want people to know that you don't have to. Honestly, you don't have to the entire time if you want to just gain that knowledge.
I guess I did something similar because I did some of the reading prior to quitting. I quit on January 1st, but I did some of that reading and kind of that mental prep and learning and like journaling some of my last drinks to kind of understand how I function. So I guess I did it in an unofficial capacity.
You did it a different way.
when you live with a coach, you get all these pro tips like that. So
pro tips.
I get coached all the time with a smile on my face.
No, I ask you. Okay, do you want me to coach you on this? Because I try to be respectful.
Let me send you a link. I get that a lot too. Let me send you a link. I'm going to send you a link to something.
Yeah. So happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. I still turned 50. I'm still 50. If I sound a little deeper, I had to take the bass out of my mic because screaming and yelling 2 nights ago at the night. This is the 90s concert with Vanilla Ice, Tone Loc, Rob Bass, Young MC, Sugar Hill Gang, which is not the 90s.
Who was the other one that we listened to with 3 guys?
Color Me Bad.
Color Me Bad, yes.
That was the other one. So
it was good.
It was
you guys,
a lot of fun. We'll get into that in a minute.
So fun.
We have a whole segment about dating and sober activities. So hang on, 2 shakes of a stick. I don't even know what that's a saying, but I'm old school.
It is.
It is. Drink of the week, Amy. I think you made your own. What'd you make?
I did. Well, you made this. For those of you who are on YouTube, this looks like a Bailey's.
It looks a lot like Bailey's.
And
sounds like Bailey's.
It tastes like Bailey's. But this is the Liar's Coffee Spirits.
With their white cane.
Yeah.
A splash, which is...
Splash.
I wish I was recording it because Amy's version of a splash, I'm like, give it a splash. And she I would call it a dribble. I'm like, no, a little more splash, another dribble. I'm like, well, if you do 4 of those, I guess it might be a splash.
Yeah, so I did basically, whatever, that little splash
of the white cane, which you don't really have to do, I don't think.
And then I did a couple of shots of the coffee, the NA spirits.
Right.
And then I did 2 shots of the cream.
Yeah. I mean,
or the half and half.
You use the shot glass. You
half and half.
really just mix it however you want. Mix to taste.
And let's face
try
it.
Your version.
I really like it. To me, it tastes just like it.
It is very Bailey's-esque.
I mean,
esque.
I'm sure if somebody who has just had Bailey's would
similar to the coffee similar to the ingredients in the coffee martini, you just don't use the cream. So, but yeah.
But I used half and half.
And I've drank it just straight on the rocks, and it's good. You don't need the cream. I mean, it's solid. It's a great for the holidays. Definitely a cold weather one, from my opinion.
Especially if you want that little after dinner drink.
The flavors of the season after dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I am not drinking an entire bottle of wine, but I had the bottle with me. This is Hand on Heart Cab. It's Cabernet Sauvignon, alcohol removed, of course. Which is funny, it's only 45 calories once you take the alcohol out. 12 grams of sugar. That's surprising, but that's probably because there's the sugar in the grapes and stuff. But anyway.
Well, how many calories?
45. And 8 ounces, which...
And how many servings?
3. So there's like, 100... I don't know, what's 45 times 3? 45 times 3 servings of that is...
It's under 150 calories.
For a bottle.
Yeah.
But
so
it's
because this is the thing, guys, ladies, that always kind of annoys me when people will be like, okay, you quit drinking and a bottle of wine is like it's like 630, 680 calories for a bottle. And
that's
then
how you get a Caillou head.
And then you'll have somebody who'll be like, well, I don't want the sugar. Okay, I get it. But if the sugar and the alcohol and all that wasn't a problem for you then, to substitute out something different, you're all upset about the sugar, don't forget about all the poison you put into yourself.
So this is to put it in perspective, that's a good point.
I can drink that whole bottle.
This is de-alcoholized wine. So it is wine, but the alcohol has been removed, right? Yeah. They've only added 2 grams of sugar. So the 10 grams of sugar that are in there were in there when the alcohol was in there. So you're not really taking a sugar hit by drinking this. You're just taking a remove the alcohol hit.
Yeah. If I can have a whole bottle, which I've not drank a whole bottle of NA wine.
Most of the thing is like, I'm getting hammered on this NA wine. I mean, we drank some last night. I had a glass now, and there's still like a quarter.
Well, you and I have both said, and people will be like, oh, I don't like that. Well, alcohol does have a taste. You and I have both been away from alcohol.
But I compared this one to my dad's wine that he brought for Thanksgiving. And there was obviously, I think the alcohol gives a more full body maybe. But I think if you put them head to head, you probably wouldn't know right away.
And you had a taste.
I had a taste.
Yes. I like to let people know that you're not having a glass of wine or anything. You had a taste. We do not follow the suit of that is going to be something that is going to trip you up because it's all our own individual journeys.
It's your own journey. It's your own perspective and the purpose for doing it. I didn't do it because I wanted to drink wine. I'm like, I want to taste the difference. I want to see what, and I've done that with like some other stuff. I'm like, all right, here, I want to try this like IPA versus this, and like, because when I'm more interested in the science of it, right? Of like, okay, how close are we getting as we were improving on these NAs to like the real thing? Because when I recommend things to people who are trying to get away from that, I want to give them whatever the closest experience is going to be. Because there are some that are like, oh, this is NA wine. It's like, well, that tastes like grape. Because some of them like grape juice and like not good.
But I also want to tell people too, is when you are going, it might be a trigger for you. So then don't. If you think it's going to be something that is going to trigger you, then my suggestion is don't do it.
Right.
For you and I, this was something that the two of us didn't have a problem with. And I will say at the beginning, I didn't drink a lot of NA wine.
No. We don't drink a ton now, but it's nice to have, especially on this time of year. It's great to have with like
and the other
meal last night.
Yeah. But the other thing you need to also realize is it does taste different. It's just looking at it as this is a different drink.
Right. Spirits, especially when you take that approach.
Yeah, when you sit there and compare it and you wanna replace it, like if you want it to be totally like replaced, that's your brain saying, I want a hit of drugs.
Right.
It really is. And so just be aware of that as well.
Right. Well, and if I gave this to you after a long day and didn't tell you it didn't have alcohol in it, your initial dopamine hit would probably come anyway because the alcohol would have, had a chance to have effect anyway. So
yes.
Anyway, a little sidebar there. But anyway, yes, it is good. We found this, I think that was at Business as well.
I do. I mean, I think that is, since they didn't have the
Gießen Red.
Gießen
The Gießen Red blend is a tricky one to find. So, okay. Well, moving on to my deep voice and our crazy date night. I wanted to touch on the date night aspect of, it was obviously a sober date night.
That's all we've ever had now.
That is always.
Well, for me, it's been...
Quick side note, as Amy was doing before, just doing a holiday photo post she was putting together for Joy on the Other Side. And it was us at the same event like 4 or 5 years ago.
2019.
Okay, so 4 years ago when we were both still drinking, and then this year. So only in 4 years. She goes, do you see a difference? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we both have what I call Caillou head. If you haven't seen Caillou the cartoon, I look a lot like, especially when I was drinking like Caillou, because my head was swollen up round because I was all puffy from alcohol, and I'm bald. So I look like freaking Caillou. You were a little more rounder in the face too. You aren't bald, but so I call it Caillou head. So if you want to avoid Caillou head, don't drink. But
it is amazing. You do even
outside of weight change.
Yeah.
Just the inflammation.
Your face, the inflammation is huge.
Right.
So it is kind of interesting to look at that.
So Amy, couples who date or continue to date, let's use that word, right? After tying the knot, enjoy better communication, better sex, and a better commitment to the relationship. Okay. Because 48% of people surveyed, they surveyed 2,000 married couples, 48% reported regular date nights. So that's once or twice a month. That's not even that much, really. In fact, husbands and wives who reported frequent date nights were 14 to 15% more likely to report being very happy in a marriage compared to those who reported less regular date nights. So, it's not like it's 80, 90%, but obviously it's a marked change.
Well,
and we've always tried to stick to some sort of date night model.
Mm-hmm.
In a perfect world, it's like, what do people say? Like a small date once a month, and then like a getaway once a year or something.
Oh, there's
a whole bunch.
There's a lot of different ones. It's really being focused and being committed to each other is really.
Well, because if you're not open-minded is not the word I'm looking for. If you're not thoughtful about it and think and plan for it, it won't happen. And then it slips. And it's another week, and next thing you know, it's like 2 years and you haven't done anything.
It's the same thing where I've heard this said, and we try to do this, but putting sex on the calendar.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
Especially when you have little ones.
Yep. But even now, I've even noticed with our busy schedule, if we don't make an effort and put that on the calendar and say, okay, because it also helps you to like alleviate that. Oh, okay, this is the plan.
Right.
It helps you even with your mindset. Like, okay, we're gonna have
super fun time. Well, and I think if you put purpose behind, I think we were told early on in our marriage, like, you need to put your spouse first. And I think you carry that through your marriage because, well, the warning was, if you don't, it's too easy to get sucked into the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, you wake up in the mode we're in where your kids have moved out. And it's like, okay, well, I don't really know you, or, because people change and they grow over time. And if you don't do that together, you wake up one day going, well, the thing we had in common, it's like
just walked out.
It's just like people you have like, you have friends who are like, well, we don't have, the only thing we have in common is this hobby, or we golf together, but that's it. Well, you can make a marriage turn into that too. And all of a sudden it's like, well, all that we have in common by the time this was done was these kids.
Or they have nothing.
Or nothing in common.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you have a couple who they're, doing an activity like golf or something like that, at least they have that connection to each other that they can build on.
Right.
But so many people do. They get really, really tied up in the busyness of life, busyness with their kids. And then the next thing you know, they wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm married to a stranger. I don't know this person. And we had this conversation even with our daughter the other day. We're like, we are not the same people we were when we got married. But when we got married, we made this commitment to each other, for better, for worse, that we would continue to put an effort in to our relationship. It is a real, true commitment, and
it takes work.
It does take work, but it also it takes that presence that, you know what, you are changing. Okay, well, what can I do to help you with that? How can I better serve you in this relationship? And when I say that,
how can I
mean
participate in whatever that change is?
The two of us, how can I make whatever you're wanting to do a success?
Right. Whether that's a hobby or a business or...
And it's an investment. I mean, taking that interest. You know what? Do I have interest in drones?
Totally.
Not.
You're down there soldering all the time. I see you sneaking out of bed in the middle of the night.
I have gone on many little outdoor adventures with you where you will go and fly your drone.
Either for fun or sometimes for work or whatever. And you're a great visual observer, Amy.
You are a huge sport when it comes to my going to Hobby Lobby or Home Goods
or some craft
somewhere.
Or decorating.
Or let's do this, or can you help me? I'd like to put this type of like a craft together, or that. You have been very supportive in those types of things.
I think it's all about doing things together. I mean, not to a fault, not that we don't do our own things, right? But it's like, do you want to? Maybe not. But sometimes you have to look and be like, well, all right, I can go with my spouse and do something, maybe not totally what I want to do, or I'm going to sit at home and do nothing, right? Like, another thing's like, oh, I've got this project to work on, you go do that, fine. But there's a lot of times in life it's like, well, I don't want to do that. So I'm like, it's like,
yeah.
And I'm going to throw a little judgment here, which is anti-church, which I'm going to talk about church. So anyway, but.
It's anti the beginning of our
no.
Don't we welcome people to the judgment-free zone?
Good point.
Okay, mister, what are we doing?
But men, if your family goes to church, go to church. That is a pet peeve of mine. Now, I know there's like firefighters or people who work different shifts. They can't. And I totally understand that.
Make the effort.
But I also know of at least a handful of men who just, he just doesn't like to go to church. There's no excuse to, and church aside, your family's doing an activity and you're just like, I don't have an interest in it. That's what really bothers me. It's like, would you, like, they're going to the pumpkin patch, or take an active role in your family, because otherwise, I don't know. I'm not going to go down, but that's my point. Just take an active role, people. I don't know how I got onto that side tangent.
Wow, man. Ooh.
Be active in your, and that just plays into all of it,
passionate.
Right?
You're passionate about putting in the effort to in a family,
right?
Because there are a lot of people who, and I would say that's not just men anymore. There are women who do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so it is putting, like, there's a hierarchy as well. And our belief is, you have God at the top, and then the couple, and then your kids. And the reason this works is because if you are secure in your relationship together, your kids are going to feel secure and safe.
Right.
And they are going to be grounded individuals over time that, my parents have this commitment to each other.
Right.
And they're seeing it firsthand.
And, and I have a high regard for anybody, whether it's on your own looking for counseling or marriage counseling together, who seek help, because we can't all do everything by ourselves. Whether it's your alcohol-free spirit thing to, quit the booze, or help with your marriage.
Couples counseling, coaching. Yes. And if you can't afford something like that, there is really any more with the tools and the YouTube and Instagram, and that you can actually use your phone as a tool to actually guide yourself in that. There are so many different resources that are available to you out there.
After April, we'll be a resource to you if you want to do that.
I'm excited about that.
But I think doing our marriage coaching training has really opened my eyes to, like, there are a lot of couples who, I guess I feel like either it comes natural or we just sort of, it works pretty well. Like, there's some people who have to, because of their backgrounds largely, they have to put a lot of work into it, or there's a mistrust or a misstep in their past. I mean, but there's a lot of people, I'm just impressed by the amount of work I see people willing to put into their marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So often you see people just like, this is too hard, so I'm getting out.
Yeah.
So, the fact that anybody will take the time to try and put the work in, and then at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't work. I get that, but at least, put in some effort and spend time.
Well, there's a lot coming at us anymore.
Oh, geez.
I mean, and you have to figure, we're very fortunate that both of our parents are still married, still living.
Well, even our oldest son is like, him and his girlfriend are like an anomaly, because both sets of their parents are married, and all the grandparents are still alive and married.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is
that's an anomaly for sure.
But that's such a good foundation.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
For really anybody. I mean, it's not a perfect foundation by any means, but at least there is this
you can stay married and be a train wreck still.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, I was previously married.
Yep.
So
that's a long way to say go on a date night, kids.
But go on a date night. But I found it interesting by your statistics that you brought, because that 48% that was going on, the regular dates. I mean, when you look at the statistics for marriages, I think, what is it now?
About 50-50.
Yeah. I think it might even be tipping now to the other, 51%.
Well, this would be 52%. So, yeah.
So if you're looking at that, you need to invest in each other. And just remember, especially even in the early years, how am I going to do this? Sometimes date night can be telling your little ones that mom and dad are going to have a little date over here, and you're going to be okay. And you have just a little quiet time for the two of you.
Well, we used to do the after work thing, right? Like, when we were drinking especially, but it was at after work, come home.
But it didn't start that way.
No.
It really didn't start that way.
I come home from work, the kids go to the other room, and we have 15 minutes, right? I mean, even that's enough time to reconnect.
It was a reconnection time. And I would have to say that came from going to Hearts at Home years ago and coming home and saying, hey, I think we need to do this for our marriage.
Right.
And you've always been awesome.
I've always been awesome, Amy.
To be able to go, all right, yeah,
when people think about Coach Amy's husband, Matt, they think awesome. They think old. But speaking of old, let's get to the sober concerts, Amy. This is our third sober concert.
Is it our third? For sure?
Yes, for sure. It is our third sober concert. I think, the first one was a Christian concert, so there wasn't like a lot of drinking.
It was still available.
Yes.
And if we would have been at that concert and still drinking, we would have been drinking.
I didn't.
Maybe not as much.
So I did look at our concert in April at Walker Hayes if they had NA beer, and they did, and I had one of those.
Yeah.
I did not even bother to look if
they
had it.
It was such an interesting. I find that really interesting now that this is the second one we went to, and we didn't even look.
No,
didn't even care.
No, we did. We weren't healthy. We did.
No, but
you know, you save a lot of money because you're not buying the alcohol, but we still had some snacks. You had water, and you had your Sour Patch Kids.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have Sour Patch Kids.
And it started at 7:30, which our bedtime's usually 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I had a Monster Energy thing, which I never have those either. So
yes, and I would, I had a couple of. Anyway, we had a couple of waters.
Yep.
We
still far cheaper than.
Had so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Singing, dancing, texting like people all over the arena who we knew were there.
Right. Well, and one thing that struck me this time is not drinking. Sometimes I look, I'm like, oh, see, I would have had the courage, quote unquote, to like all the people going up on stage and dancing and being silly. I'm like, I would have had the courage maybe to do that. But at the same time, then I'm watching some of these people on stage, and I'm like, I don't want that recorded by all these people out here in the audience of me doing that. So that's actually a better thing.
Let's say that for our generation,
because it was all 90s,
being a Gen Xer, that a lot of our misbehavior was not recorded for all time on social media.
But here's your opportunity, kids.
Exactly. And there were a few people, again, it was like, oh, you're going to probably regret that picture being out on social media.
Yeah.
And you know what? They had a good time. I, as always, watching people literally leave their bodies when they're drinking now. I mean, you can see
it is kind of a fun little social experiment. You can watch people like...
It's not really that fun.
Well, interesting maybe.
It's interesting. Because there were some people where it was like, ooh, ow, that's going to hurt.
It always seems to be the people on the floor in the pit that seem to be drinking more. I don't know why that is, but...
Still amazed that the young kids, people who bring their kids, little kids, and they are... it
was a PG kind of show, generally speaking.
But I'm not the show. I don't care about.
Oh,
it's the amount of how much
they're drinking.
How much the parents were drinking.
Oh, with you.
And I'm sitting there, guys. This is just a observation of when people are literally in front of you, and you can watch and see. Okay, that's probably their third beer now, and they've got kids who are running all over the place. I'm like, they're going to get in a vehicle, and that is scary.
Yeah. Nobody's not drinking, so somebody will be driving. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe, you know what? Maybe they've got an Uber. Maybe they're doing something like that, But
that's one of the benefits of not drinking at the show.
Not
is like
drinking.
We go out
gosh.
You go out to the car and you drive home, and you don't worry about passing the police or taking secret routes home or some jazz like that.
And honestly, being able to look at the concert, and it was still going on. Vanilla Ice was the end, so he had played his 2 songs of fame or whatever it was, and it was like you looked at me, and you're like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, like now it's just it was like a weird encore. I don't know what it's like a party on the stage. I don't even know how to explain.
But it was funny.
It was time to go.
We did have a great time, but it was. You were right. It was like, let's go now, and get out of this place before everybody else decides.
Yeah. You beat the crowd, and you beat all the drinkers driving around you.
And the other thing that I thought was good on our part too, and we don't mind doing now, is paying for better parking.
Oh yeah.
In the past, we would have been like, I'm not paying this amount of money for parking.
Yeah.
Find cheap
now
parking,
it's like, I go pay overpriced beer.
I'll go ahead and pay the $20 for the good lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then I'm right there. I walk out and on I go, and
we can get out. We're safe.
Yeah.
But again, it was, because I had the sugar. I did not sleep great.
Yeah, we weren't healthy necessarily.
Yeah, but I was not hungover. I was tired.
But that's the thing is, we were still productive the next day.
Yes, I was tired, and that's fine.
Right. But throw a hangover on top of it?
Oh, because that party, I probably would have really had a good time.
Oh, we probably would have had to Uber there and back because we wouldn't have wanted to drink or drive and all that good stuff, which, at least it's safe. But yeah, you save money. You don't have those hangovers. You're productive the next day. It's a safer drive home. You're also aware it's like when it's time to peace out and get away from the problem areas.
And I remembered everything. Everything. We were trying to count up how many concerts and things we've gone to over the years. And I remember the beginning of Sheryl Crow's concert.
Right.
The beginning. Then I don't remember most of it. Was it Joe went and saw John Mayer?
Yeah.
Remember him maybe being on the stage at the beginning.
Well, you don't buy $40 cowboy hats at Brad Paisley concerts either.
That was your turn.
Yeah, that was my turn.
That one I was like, oh, I guess I'm in charge. And then that next concert we went to, I mean, some of them we just haven't.
Some we haven't drank as much.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking about, well, what time's the bar? I'm assuming the bar closed at some point. Like when can I get my last drink? Because you'd see people like two-fisting it because they would get down to the floor and they wouldn't have to go back, or you buy the biggest beers you can, or all the same things we did. And I still do the aisle seat just because I don't want to deal with getting in and out. But I used to do the aisle seat so I could get to the bar and get back easier, or go to the bathroom because you're gonna have to pee more because you drank all that booze, or if you drink a lot of caffeine, apparently that did it too. So.
I don't know. We had a great time.
But yeah,
and I would also say,
it sounds. It takes. I would say it takes.
I think it takes a little bit more effort,
and it probably takes a couple times. The first time's a little odd.
Yes.
But by the second, I call it the second real concert. The first one was not. It was a real concert, but it wasn't like the party.
Well, but we've been out to see live music.
Yeah.
In there as well, so maybe that's where I'm getting a little.
I think
bit
once
more.
you get used to not doing, you realize. Oh, actually, I still had fun,
But
and then you don't really.
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
If you think you can't go to a concert without drinking, you're right. You can't. But if you and I have been planning this concert
for a couple months, yeah.
For 2 or 3 months. Like, okay, this is gonna be fun.
Right.
We had fun the whole time. This is gonna be a great time. Let's do this. We got like our goofy matching, coordinating outfits.
Yes,
we put together.
I'm wearing the top half of mine right now.
We had so much fun planning it all out, singing, being completely present. But again, it's a complete mindset change.
Well, and I made that really comment about, well, I'll do these things, because I'd be too embarrassed to do it. Well, maybe you should be embarrassed to do certain things. Right? So it's like, yes, I may have loosened me up and I may have,
I still danced.
But
I danced. I acted goofy.
Well, because I always have to remind myself, if I don't care what people think when I'm drinking and doing these things, why should I care what people think when I'm not drinking and doing these things?
Exactly. But the mindset is, okay, I'm going back to the 90s. I was not a teenager in the 90s. I was in my 20s. But I was able to embrace my inner teenager and going, you know what? Let's have fun. Why do we think as we age that we're supposed to, the only way you're going to be able to act a certain way is with alcohol? Well, it makes it far easier. But if you want to go ahead and act silly, and the only way for you to do that is to have a drug, I guess I have a superpower because I can act incredibly immature and have a lot of fun.
Although, speaking of drugs, we don't know, there could have been a contact high.
Oh my gosh.
There was one guy straight up. Now, marijuana is legal in the state of Illinois, but you're still not supposed to consume it outside of your home. Like you buy it at the store.
And certainly not in an indoor concert.
Indoor concert. And you're not even supposed to smoke a cigarette inside there.
Oh yeah.
This guy literally takes out a joint and just blazes it up and just smoking it, and then somebody comes down, hey, my husband wants to hit that, and like she takes it back to him and then gives him another one out of his baggie, and like he smokes another one, and then finally the security guard's like, yeah, you can't do that. Like didn't do anything about it, just told him you got to put it out. But he's like right below us. I'm like,
I mean, that's fine. I don't care that they just but telling them that they needed to put it out was fine. But
the fact that he thought it was like no big deal to just light it up. Like,
well, yeah, but then his date
wanted to get
and she was just going to start smoking cigarettes. I'm like,
no, you can't smoke in here, period.
You cannot smoke. Since the 90s.
I don't know when the last time you could smoke in a building like that, but so I don't know. What is a contact? I'm like, I'm don't know if I'm probably not close enough to get a contact.
I don't think we probably
not in a big
were,
arena like that, but you could smell it.
You could smell it.
Never missed.
But it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot.
So I would highly recommend
this is the 90s
I
tour or
would
whatever.
highly recommend going.
I don't know if I need to do it again, but I did it once. And
I
it was
would
fun.
probably do it again.
I don't know if I would
I
wear
mean, I don't know
earplugs.
if it would be the same, like with the same group, but if it was another group or something like that came, I might go again.
There's a version that has like TLC and some other ones.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun from the aspect of the way they did it is they all were only had maybe 2 or 3 hits at it, at the most
1 to 3. Yeah.
So they were coming out, and in between,
put your hands
then
up,
they
put your hands up.
Yeah, but then they would put videos on, and the whole arena is singing. Like the whole arena was singing the whole time, and just to have that camaraderie. And everybody just laughing and enjoying themselves.
It was sort of like one of those moments where everybody was on the same page. There were no politics. There was no nothing. It was just like, we're all here just having fun. There was no race, no religion.
Literally, I think you and I both said this was like our very first rap concert.
It was.
But this is all the music that we all were listening to.
Yeah. I don't know if all R&B concerts you're asked to put your hands in the air that much.
Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
Like
put your hands up.
I know you're trying to drag your 2 songs out to 25 minutes by making me put my hands up and wave my hands in the air.
It was fun.
It was a lot of So
again, it's all about mindset.
It is all
Get your mindset right.
Get your mind right, kids.
If you need anything
I
this
sound
week.
Like Tone Loc right now.
Oh,
Funky
gosh.
Cold Medina.
He was awesome.
That's Tone Loc.
He was awesome.
He was fun.
He was probably, in my opinion, the best one out there.
There you go.
As an entertainer.
No, the best is when one of the members of Sugar Hill Gang was told he couldn't go down into the pit because he didn't have the wristband on. He points and has his shirt. It says Sugar Hill. He's like, I'm in the band, dude. Somebody comes over like, no, let him in. Well, you know your 15 minutes of fame have passed when you can't even get into your own concert.
Well, we just want to wish you everybody a Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
We will probably be on before the New Year.
I would assume so.
We'll probably want to touch base with everybody.
We will want to touch you before then. So.
Remember, the
consensually.
alcohol-free spirit is coming. And so if you are interested, please reach out. I would love to have a chat.
As I said in the old days, reach out and touch someone like joyontheotherside.com. Amy at joyontheotherside.com. If you have questions, comments, especially concerns, talk to her, not me. All right, kids, that is us for this week, for this. Why am I having such a hard time?
So we're going to end this. Are we going to end this with Merry Christmas?
We just did Merry Christmas. We're just going to say.
Look, we're just done. Goodbye.
Peace and love from the cornfields. I'm Matt along with Coach Amy, and we are
out.